FromSoftWare is a well-known game studio that produces the finest quality Souls games you've ever laid your eyes upon, which are like really difficult RPGs, meaning anything goes and you don't have to stick to a specific playstyle in order to win against everything they throw at you. In a sense, Souls games are kinda like famous restaurants, where you can order all kinds of dishes and thus have a different experience compared to everyone else. No! With one of those being spell usage. Back in the olden days of 1879, the mythical chef known as Hidetaka Miyazaki created the first Dark Souls restaurant, made to be better than his restaurant called Demon Souls in every way, which was later repainted to fit a new look thanks to another game studio named Bluepoint, but that's another story for another day. This new establishment managed to win the hearts of customers and critics all around the world thanks to its amazing variety of food, including spicy tacos. You see, no matter what spell class you pick in Dark Souls, whether it be pyromancies or miracles or sorceries, you can be sure that if you know what you're doing, there is nothing the game's difficulty could do to touch you, and thus most spells allow you to just steamroll past everything, which is exactly how some customers like their experience. However, not everyone was pleased with how these customers enjoyed their time at good old Dark Souls. They believed that they were robbing themselves of the authentic Souls experience by eating nothing except hot tacos at insanely fast speeds instead of slowly eating a more balanced meal that had more complicated flavors. You can't just keep eating spicy tacos all day, that's cheap and disgusting. Why don't you just enjoy dining at Dark Souls the same way I do? You're one to talk, just look at how big the bites you're taking out of your beef sandwich are. You're eating just as fast as I am here. At least I don't do it whilst looking like a virgin. But regardless, Miyazaki moved on from Dark Souls to make a sequel restaurant called Dark Souls 2 and had his two apprentices named Giant Dad and Gravel the Block be the heads of the operation this time while he worked on constructing even more restaurants. And so they both shook hands and expanded on their menu of spicy tacos, even adding a new category of spells called hexes, which existed in the previous restaurant but weren't quite popular enough to be recognized as their own thing until now. You can think of them as like calzones that were infinitely stronger tasting than tacos, because instead of ending your experience with a few quick spicy bites and maybe needing to take a trip to the bathroom here and there before leaving, you just shove the whole thing down your throat, which is full of nothing but Carolina Reaper peppers and pure capsaicin. And thus many customers loved it even more, but that of course meant others were even unhappier. How do you have any fun eating like this? Shut up, Dick's Pizza Enjoyer. It was at this point that Miyazaki jumped back into the scene with a new restaurant called Dark Souls 3, thus finishing the trilogy of Dark Souls restaurants. Here, spells worked a bit differently. Instead of having a fixed amount of tacos or calzones you can eat before leaving, you had an infinite amount of tacos to consume so long as you had plenty of Baja Blast, which automatically gives you the right to eat more tacos. Or if you just broke into the kitchen while no one was looking to steal and drink an entire gallon of Baja Blast and assert dominance. But as per usual, there were unhappy customers arguing to this day. Ha! You're still eating tacos over there? You've never had a real Dark Souls experience. Shut up, eating all these tacos takes more time to finish than your chicken and rice bowl. They don't even have the same variety and flavor as all the other Dark Souls restaurants. Nevertheless, Miyazaki was done with this series and was ready to move on and create his ultimate masterpiece. By collaborating with none other than the heavenly chef George R.R. Martin, the two of them have realized what the full potential of a restaurant could be and constructed a massive establishment called Elden Ring, made to be 10 times bigger and better. Now the possible amount of tacos you could order was literally in the hundreds. More than ever, new customers started flooding in like crazy, with millions wanting to try out these insane tacos with all sorts of hot flavor profiles and categories. Everyone was being spoiled to hell with it all, and only leaving when their bellies were full. Simply put, Elden Ring was an all-new experience that nobody was ready for. And interestingly, there really wasn't much complaining or arguing. Sure, you still occasionally had many people gatekeeping and repeating the same back and forth, but now more than ever, it seems that the customers have finally begun to understand one another fully, because at the end of the day, Souls games are RPGs, meaning you can eat at their restaurants and have a different experience than everyone else, thus having your own fun at your own pace, which is what's so great about them. And it doesn't really matter what dish you choose to eat or how fast you wish to consume it, and it's because of this understanding and wide selection of food that people started creating all sorts of wacky combinations together, like dousing beef sandwiches in sriracha or drinking Baja Blast to instead add more toppings to rice bowls and get an extra kick of enjoyment. It truly was an open world restaurant like no other. So what does the future hold for our mythical master Miyazaki? After all, his most famous restaurant was made a whole 3 years ago, and while he has expanded on it and created a spin-off restaurant called Elden Ring Night Rain alongside a movie, including a potential reopening for his Dark Souls restaurants, much like his first, except it was about the exact same but with a permanent 60% discount on everything, only time will tell what his next big future project is going to be. But one thing is certain, It will contain a lot of feet, like a lot of feet. The man simply can't hold himself back from having them be in every one of his restaurants. Why are they so detailed?